So when I come to a session, sometimes on occasion, not feeling physically the way I would like to feel. And sometimes when I come to a session, having had 3 or 4 different times the day of and or a day or 2 before, and I already have an inkling of what I'm going to be talking about, especially when I have 3 or 4 times that I get, this is what the session is about. Okay, I already know that I'm going to be bringing the boom. And so I'm telling you that I'm going to be bringing some boom today. If you really want what you came for, now if you want your ears tickled with fascination, you're going to have the best fucking session of your life. If that's what you want, you're going to get it. If you're going to be distracted, if you have anything on your mind, if you got to be checking your tweets or you got Facebook open, I would say don't be on the session, catch the replay, okay? The gift of your presence on this session to yourself and to everybody else. Not to mention, I feel important when you pay attention to what I'm saying. I feel good. I like myself when you do that. The odds of you getting what you came for increase with the amount that you come for it. Some of you little freaky people are going to twist that into something sexual. I saw it on your face right when I said, oh, was that a double entendre? Only for you. But wait, I did acknowledge it, didn't I? Okay, I might have played a role. So, Gurjit, did I say that right? Am I close? Good to see you. Aloha. Brenda came to the session ready for something. Neil is fully present. April is thinking, I don't think I've ever paid this much attention to any program I've ever done, and I am getting so much out of this. I can only imagine today. Right on, Ken. Thank you for that. If you want to know the trippiest part, Ken, I felt that with you when I started saying this. Literally. I'm telling you, I'm just in the zone, man. Yeah. I'm just in the zone today.
I have an event shortly in about an hour I've got to get prepped for. So, and I've had like 3 hours of sleep. So I will be more present later.
Right on. Honor you and all that is. There you go, buddy. All right. I am, and that's all I had to say. I hope you enjoyed the session. See you next week, everybody. I am. Now we'll go a little deeper. Exactly. I mean, did you need more than that, really? Not if you ever let that shit in. All right, so I'm just gonna get myself set up here right now. And those of you think, why didn't you get yourself set up earlier? Because I had a session and a quantum question. That's my excuse. I think I'm gonna put a little bit more in here this time. So what I would invite you to do for the next minute or two as you breathe, if you'll set your intention for the session, if you'll think about what you're hating or fearing the most in the world right now, breathing with your spine straight. what you're fearing or hating, or even wanting most to change. Yes, you. Imagine, what if, no matter where you find yourself, and some of you are already thinking, well, you don't know my situation, Brian. That's nice. Keep breathing, straight spine and deep, smooth breath. What if, no matter where you find yourself today, no matter the circumstances, even those circumstances, what if, even if you think you have taken 9,422,013 wrong turns, what if that doesn't change the fact that you are ever in eternal, infinite possibilities in a state of perpetual grace? What if you hear that like you never heard it before, especially those of you that have been with me for a while? What if you hear it like you never heard it before? What if, even if I have taken 472,000, oh yeah, 903 million, I almost forgot, and 13 wrong turns? What if you're still in a state of eternal, infinite possibilities, in a state of perpetual grace where there is no past and none of it's relevant? What if there are no wrong turns? Is that possible, that there are no wrong turns? Is it possible you haven't fucked up too much to recover? Is it possible that the world hasn't gone to hell in a handbag, Gucci or otherwise? Is it possible that Churchill, maybe well-intentioned, maybe not, when he said, when you're going through hell, keep going, is it possible that he was mistaken? Maybe, doesn't matter if he was mistaken, but when you're going through hell, you don't want to keep going because that shit just keeps sloping down forever. There's no bottom to the hells that we can bring into being. So turn around and go back the other way. You ain't been there forever, so it's just a matter of distance to cover to be right back out of it. And there is no distance in infinite possibilities. So in other words, you might at least find the trip being shorter out than it was in. Hi, V. All of you that are choking back emotion, why are you doing that? Just let it go. Start, just breathe. There, thank you, Jennifer. All that emotion that's been seemingly stuck and frozen, if you let it come up and you feel it and you breathe through it, it turns back into infinite possibilities. No matter how long it was frozen into those emotions, doesn't matter. Exactly. So we almost all the time, still believe there is an out there. Even those of us who say, well, no, I know there is no physical out there. There's no out there. I know. Hey, Steve. And Einstein supposedly said reality is an illusion. And see, people don't know. They think he said, albeit. He actually said, but holy fuck, it is a persistent one. See, they just wouldn't publish it back then when he said it. I don't know that that's true. But you don't know that it's untrue. Ha. Reality is an illusion. He also said, concerning matter, we've been wrong. There is no matter. So put those two sentences together. No physical universe here. How convincing though, right? You stub your toe or you have an orgasm. It's like, yes, I like this body thing. Oh, now I stubbed my toe. I don't like this body thing at all. Someone has a noose around my neck and I'm hanging, choking. I totally don't like this physical thing, but I guess it's about over. So what if there's a way that we can understand for a little bit how there is no physical universe? And what if we could understand it in a way that we could begin to understand it so that we're not as easily fooled and we don't feel at the mercy of something seemingly bigger than us, outside of us, powers seemingly outside of us. Now, I don't know if it's true, but you don't know that it isn't, that Jesus supposedly said, all power in heaven and earth is given unto me. And the same Jesus supposedly said, everything I do, you do too. The Father, the infinite, unlimited creative energy, not some white guy in a fucking throne in the sky who might tip over and fall on us one day. The infinite, unlimited energy of creation, the Father, dwelleth in me and does all the work. You strip away all the religiosity and bullshit from that and just look at it if you want to. If you want to. So I have been developing over the course of 40-something years and really intensively over the last 9 years. And I know that's amazing because I'm actually only 18. I don't know how I did it. Developing analogies and pictures of how to understand this. And so far, I have developed one that's kind of an assembly of images that people have found, a lot of people have found, to help them to get it more than anything else. Now, if somebody else, despite my magnificent ego, despite that, if someone has a more effective, efficient, and beneficial way of explaining this, I want to hear it. I want to adopt it, and I'll just toss mine back into infinite possibilities, no loss. I'm going to share a picture that I haven't shared for a while that it is time for today. So imagine a movie theater. Remember they used to have those before the COVID thing came out? These movie theaters, right? You would go into a theater and you would sit down and they would put a movie into the thing. It used to be big reels of film. And they would put those things in and they would aim a light through it. So they needed a power source to plug the projector in. They needed a projector. The light from the projector would go through the film, which was coded with the story that you were going to experience that day or that night. And then they would project it on a 2D screen, right? This is all easy to follow and quite comprehensible, right? Okay. So let's do it backwards. There's this screen over here. And then there's these seats for observers. And then over there is a power source where they would plug in a projector, and there's a projector, and the projector has a lens, and the light from the projector goes through the lens, hits the film, through the next phase of lenses, and projects onto this screen. Ain't nothing real about any of it. I made the shit in Hollywood or wherever else. Computer graphics and CGI and all kind of cool, trippy shit. And you go in and you invest some money. I think I did sneak in a couple of times as a kid, but that was before they had security cameras. I don't want to think about that anymore. And so you go in, you sit down, and they turn, the lights go down, and this thing becomes the focal point. And from unconscious habit, you're programmed to drink poisoned sugar water and stuff popped grains into your face unknowingly while you're completely fixated on this screen, right? Now, if they put Moana into that machine, that's what plays, is Moana. So you sit there, here it comes, the opening drums. Okay. And then Moana plays. And no matter what happens, a scene from The Matrix or Inception or You've Got Mail, none of those scenes will be in this movie. It's just going to be Moana, because that's what they programmed in, is Moana into this device, this projector. And you watch it and you fucking forget yourself and your life. And the more the movie appeals to you, the better made it is. And the more it appeals to you, the more you forget your life. And if they show you something hot, you get a little turned on. And if they show you something hot to you, of course, it's all subjective, totally. If they show you something funny, you laugh. If you're dumb as fuck, they show you something, then you see other people thought it was funny, and you laugh. They do real well with that. If they show something incredibly stupid, you go, ugh. If they show something terrifying and they build the suspense, you start to feel fear. Very real. I mean, they could check your heart rate. You will have all those responses, right? Then the main character is on the verge of death. And you feel so sad and so concerned. as if it was something in your family because they made you care. They did a really great job with this movie. And then the relief. Oh my God. They actually call that shit the climax, though, too, by the way. Just saying. All right. If they did a well enough job with the movie, or depending on how dumb you are, it ends and you go, oh, wait, I'm in theater. The hell? Especially if you took mushrooms before the movie, but I don't want to linger there either. So then the movie's over and you get up, and especially, you ever seen a movie during the day? You ever gone to a theater during the day? Like your life sucks. So you go to the movie. I used to do it all the time. So you go outside, like, fuck, I forgot the sun and oh, wow. Especially if that movie was really captivating, right? It's like literally almost every one of you looks like you know what I'm talking about. This is weird. Hey, Daniela. So sometimes a movie will affect you for days, right? You walk out of the theater kind of like, oh, wow. I've seen horror movies when I was young and incredibly stupid. I won't do a horror movie now under any circumstances for anything ever. But I did. And I remember like in the theater and then later walking around going, I wish I didn't put that into my eyeballs and my earballs. I did not like that. I don't want to waste that. And I've seen some scenes of violence before that I was like, I would like to unsee that. I wish that I did not see that. So much so now that even if I'm just slipping in a personal note for those of you who care. Even if it's not something I'm going to watch with my family, before I watch a movie that is PG or above, I go to Common Sense Media and actually read their assessment and description of the violence. Because if there is brutal human on human violence, I will not expose myself to it. Personal preference with reasons. Okay, keep reading. Keep reading. My daughter just typed in something that's funny for me and her. I'll just keep that between us. So this model of going to a movie is shockingly like life. Amazingly like life. But before I go any further, let's develop this analogy with a couple twists and turns now. Imagine that there's a theater that you go to frequently. And you kind of know that theater. Sticky floors and the cancerous pseudo butter smell. And you go there a lot, and it's amazing because you sit in the chair and one day it's Moana and then next day it's Inception and then next week it's whatever the hell. How do they do it? It's like completely different because the projector don't give a fuck. Got no preference. The screen, I don't care. Spray it on me. I don't mind. It's fine. The seats, just cushion your butt. They don't care. And there's an audience for almost everything. Sometimes I've sat watching the trailers at the beginning of a movie and me and my family look at each other and go, people are fucking stupid. This is scary. In our superiority, that's what we say to each other. And there's definitely an audience for everything. Now, you go to the theater and one day, there's a little black dot on the screen. It's not too big, maybe like an inch, you know, like this. But on the screen, it's 30 feet by 15, whatever it is. It's no big deal, but you just notice, okay, and then you come back a couple weeks later, and there's 10 black dots in different places. For the first minute or two of the movie, it mildly, like, it's affecting the quality of the experience a little bit, but then it starts to fade and you don't notice it anymore, right? It's like, okay, through the rest of the movie, it's like, oh yeah. Then you come back a couple months later, and there's 100 dots starting to impede the experience of the movie. And then you notice no matter what scene in the whole movie, from the opening credits to the close, these black dots are like interfering with the picture of the movie. And it don't matter if it's Moana or Inception or whatever, it's still impeded somewhat by these black dots. So you go up to the screen, you see, nobody's looking. I brought me some vinegar and water. It works on about everything else. Let me try. Nothing. Nothing. You clean, nothing. You clean, nothing. After a while, if you're paying attention, you say, it ain't on the screen and it ain't in the air. It must be on the projector lens. You with me so far? Okay. Now, like a really good movie, I'm going to change scenes and leave you partially remembering and partly forgetting that scene. It'll be there and we'll return back to it. Meanwhile, here you are, infinite, unlimited being in eternity. Nothing to do, nowhere to go, no things, no places. No motion, no experience possible. Just the eternal now, all infinite possibilities, ever present. And you, infinite, unlimited being itself, infinite possibilities, say something like, this is boring. I want to do something. Now, there's not exactly an I yet to say it, but it's beginning. You're like, and so you formulate this, I would like to have an experience. And you say, well, you have forever to contemplate this. So I don't know how long you took. There was no time. But you said, okay, in order to have an experience, this is the conclusion you ultimately reached. In order to have an experience, I got to create a theater in which to have experience. Now, interestingly, please don't go evaluating my Shakespeare. But he apparently said something like, all the world is indeed a stage. And we're each little actor fools fretting out our moment on the stage, surrounded by all these supporting actors. Some come in for a scene, some stay for most of the play. I guess they didn't have projectors in his time. But anyway, same thing. And so you said, in order for me to have an experience, there's only infinite, all that is here. In order to have an experience, I got to cut some things out. And there is a philosophy called creation by subtraction. There's a book called, I just told it to bring me the title and it will. And this is a very esoteric book. And one of the things it refers to in depth is this theory, this philosophy of creation by subtraction. That if there's only infinite white light expanding in all directions simultaneously without end, and that white light contains all the other colors and all the other possibilities, you can't differentiate anything. because there are no things. It's just infinite, undifferentiated white light expanding in all directions forever without end. So if you could remove a little bit of the red from here and a little bit of the blue from there, it starts to look like something. Maybe if there was a perceiver. So you got to separate the perceiver and subtract that, and then you hold your awareness in the perceiver position. Now you keep subtracting and subtracting, and it starts to be something very strange, but it's actually the way I've talked about decision before. Don't worry if your mind doesn't follow this. You got it. When you make a decision, you cut off all other possibilities until you remember. So the experience of limitation that we have was a choice, because you can't have experience without limitation. They're synonymous. Who knew? You can't go to the theater and put every movie in. You put in The Life of Brian, or at least that's what I did. So that infinite being said, well, I'm going to make limitation. I'm going to seemingly make all that is seem like separate things. And the only thing that it could make it out of was itself, the one sole existing one, Jehovah, Yahweh, whatever you want to call it, the sole existing one. And so to do that, you split into seemingly infinite particles, expanding to the seeming highest heavens and descending to the seeming lowest hells, none of which exists, but damn, the movie is convincing. So you took the infinite, unlimited light, all the knowledge, information, and wisdom, all the knowledge, information, and wisdom that has ever been and will ever be and is now, as light. And you said, let there be. And you projected it into the infinite D screen of the universe theater. So over here is my 2D movie screen. Even if they project these crappy ass 3D things, you know. I don't want to talk more about that because virtual reality, anyway. 2D screen. Projector. Projector. Infinite D movie screen called the universe. Now think about something I said on our first session. What if that which I call the universe, starting with and obviously including this, is merely, always and only the reflection and the projection of everything I think and believe that I know, the digital file of my life, which includes every seed that will ever be planted containing infinite trees and cucumbers and every planet and ground of being that'll be planted in, and every conversation and every star exploding and every, I bet that's a bigger file than what they put in the projector at the theater, but that's a different topic. And this movie is not projected on a 2D screen or a 3D screen. It's projected on a, I don't know. So there's some people who say they know how many Ds. I don't know. That's nice. Someone educate me someday. So I say an infinite D movie screen. The sages have said that the universe is a sphere whose circumference is boundless and whose center is everywhere. Therefore, I am the center. This seeming perceptive point that I call me, just like the seeming perceptive point that you call Philemon, is the center. You're as the center as I am. So we don't need to compete. When I think I'm the center and you're not, then we got to compete. We were told, for that reason, don't ever think you're the center. No, I know the center, and you are too. So now how do we want to play together? Keep breathing. So you project out of eternity the incomprehensible, indefinable, indescribable. We're not going to understand it, so don't even try. Projects into this illusion of time and space, first of all, making the movie theater, which is time and space, upon which all the light displays. And every seeming thing is light condensed into a twisted mirror. If there's only light, then all the things have to be made of light. And since all the light can only reflect all the light, then everything is a mirror reflecting light. In the movie theater, you get hypnotized to think the screen is all that is. What's projecting on it is all that is. So maybe we look in the mirror and we think, oh, that's me, forgetting that that's a reflection of me. And then we think about me and forget that also is a reflection of the real me. Nothing I see or smell or taste or touch is going to be real. And so I come into being, and then I'm born. As far as I'm concerned, Act 1, motherfuckers. I'm born. Interesting. Okay. I will share something for those who want extra credit. I'll put a gold star on your paper later. There is a, I think it's 1975. My favorite music group in the history of my university, in my movie, is Rush, a Canadian group. And their least popular album is called Caress of Steel. It's from like 1975. There's a song in there called The Fountain of Lamneth. Somebody, don't write that down. Just later on, grab it, those of you that want to. And I just like this, very magically, these words just came up for me. I am born. I am new. I am me. I am free. Look at me. I am new. I am young. Sight unseen. Song unsung. My eyes have just been opened, and they're open very wide. Images around me don't identify inside. Just one blur I recognize. The one that soothes, that feeds. My way of life is easy, and as simple are my needs. Birth, mother, what the fuck is this? Okay, poetic expression of that. Here I am, born. Now, for some reason, I chose to set up a theater where I would be born in a medical system of unbelievable insanity, brutality, and insensitivity. Born in a cold hospital with largely heartless, medically programmed robots who reach in with forceps, pull out this tender being, slap it on the ass so that its first breath is associated with pain. And then jerked away from mommy, cord cut, injected a few times with sharp, cold steel fucking needles. What was I thinking? Can I change the movie, please? And then placed in an incubator in another room 100 yards away from my mother. When sanity and presence reveals that nature says, be born in a quiet place where mom feels safe, in a position that facilitates giving birth. Those of us that have done some research in this area, baby comes out gently on mama's steam and the baby's readiness, gets laid on the belly where it was for the last 9 months, just right there. The blood stops, the cord is gently managed. After that blood has been done and the oxygen balance has happened and the baby's ready, and then the baby stays close to mom for the next 6 months without ever being out of her physical field. Okay. Now, we can be very upset about that, and guess what? We all are. We all are. But it gets better. For some of us, they take us immediately and pin us down and rip some of the skin off our dicks. The most unimaginable, horrible rape, torture anyone could ever imagine by insensitive fucktards who are talking about what they watched on TV that night, not knowing every word, every thought is going right into that baby in pain. I'm not trying to upset anybody. I'm just talking about why we're all so fucking upset. Probably help to breathe. So in this movie, in the background, there are people who are into torture, disguised as medical treatment and other things. Interesting turn of events. Right in the opening scene. I don't think I've ever seen so few comments. This is awesome. So I'm with you, Gertie. So what if every pain that the baby endures in the womb, every emotion that mom feels that's upsetting, every time dad accidentally elbows her in the stomach, oops, hoping to end your life so he don't have to deal with 18 years of paying for your ass. I'm with you, Tom. Breathe. Every time mom thought, I'm not sure I want to have 18 years of this with this asshole that I'm with, or this asshole that made this baby and left. Every time she thought that she didn't want you. What if every single one of those made a little black spot on the lens of the projector? Right close to where this whole thing is projecting out onto, so that those little black dots reflect on every surface of the infinite D screen. Trauma, you might say. Physical, emotional, mental trauma. Everybody check and see if you're hindering your breath at all. Check your posture, your spine, your breath. What a start. And then the days pass, the weeks pass, the months pass. and you learn all those wonderful things we've talked about in other sessions. Not okay to be. I mean, look at all these threats. I'm laying here in the crib, starving to death. I've been screaming for 7 minutes. And these insensitive fucktards, mom's in the other room on the phone, completely oblivious. Maybe talking to the other man while dad's at work. And I know everything. I am tapped into everything. I know I am not safe here. And I'm starving to death, man. Could that be the reason why in relationships you reach your claws into the other person as soon as you think they might be keeper? Is that why you have so many times thought keepers thought that someone who weren't a keeper were? Misperception? And it goes on and on and on. Trauma layered on trauma, unlayered on trauma, on trauma, on trauma. And then you reach for that pretty thing that mommy likes and she smacks your hand. You reach for that thing that she was doing this on the clothes. You reach for it and it's, ah, fuck, that thing is hot. What the hell? I just got killed here. What is that? Not safe to be here, which quickly leads to not safe to be me here, because sometimes they're nice to my brother, but not nice to me. And sometimes they're nice to me when I do it this way, and I say, oh, I'm going to do it that way forever. And I do it that way later. And they're like, no, that's not the way. And, I don't want to be here anymore. Am I telling your story at all? It's just me. Okay. So then you learn there's things you want. I would like to have that. And some of it, well, I'm weaving everything together into one this time. It was coming up on Christmas morning, and your family was fucking stupid, so they had a TV. And you saw that commercial as a little girl. You saw that commercial that showed that when you buy this toy, and you're the one in your neighborhood that has this toy, you are honey and flowers to every little boy in the neighborhood. Because the little boys in the commercial, they look at her holding that toy and they're like, and all the little girls will be envious and they'll want to be your friend and they'll be envious. So you really win when you have this toy. Everybody remember that toy? Nobody, somebody, some of you remember that toy. You know what I'm talking about. Okay, thank you. So now you got the toy, Barbie. So now you have the toy. It's Christmas morning. Exactly. Some of us never got that motherfucker. And see, we had to suffer the hell that is never getting that toy. Others of us got to suffer the hell that is getting that toy. Because we opened the box. And it was shit. I mean, as a little girl, you opened the box and your titties did not instantly grow 2 cup size, even though they told you on the commercial implicitly that they would. As a boy, your testicles did not get 3 ounces heavier, even though you got the G.I. Joe thing that they said, then now you're going to be super invincible and tough and sexy. And the envy of all your friends. So you said, fuck this, man. Getting what you want hurts worse than not. And then the toy that you got, that you said, could I have this toy? Because I want to have this toy because I would love to play with it at Billy's house and make him feel like shit for not having it. You were excited. You got the toy. And your mom said, now don't take that anywhere else. I don't want any of your friends to break it. But bitch, what the fuck? I wanted it so I could take it to Billy's. So there's where all that not okay to be, not okay to be me, not okay to want what I want, not okay to ask for what I want, not okay to get what I want. And oh, well, how about all the times when you had to ask for what you wanted from the daddy who had just beaten you 2 days earlier, and he still hadn't apologized, and you had to ask the enemy, you had to climb in bed with the enemy to ask for what you wanted or needed. And sometimes you did ask and they held it over your head. Sometimes you did ask and they said, you selfish little bitch. Oh, I tell you what, I don't know about you, but if it was a theater, I have walked in, paid my $17, 5-10 minutes into the theater, I just got up, walked out. I didn't ask for my money back. This movie sucks. I don't like this shit at all. If I could have done that, I would have. And Victoria went without. Some of us did that. Some of us said, I ain't asking. And so now watch this. Every single one of those things that I just said we learned burned a little black mark on the lens. I'll never ask again is one that some of us put on our lens. Some of us put, I'm going to always ask in manipulative ways that prevent that shit from ever happening again. Some of us said, I'm just going to fucking take it so I don't have to ask, but I can still get it. Now, you look at everybody's way that they go about dealing with what they want, asking for what they want, not asking, getting what they want, overpowering others, tyrants, martyrs, etc., etc., etc. It's a matter of the black marks on the lens. But all the seemingly smart people among us say, well, you know, human nature. No, I know fucking black mark patterns on projector lenses is what I know. And even that's just a misperception. Just so those of you know, those of you who are thinking, oh my God, he's already said quite a bit. I've said way more than you think. And some of it will dawn over the next hours and days and weeks. Watch. So what if all of our behaviors in all these areas, and I hope you can see, I trust that you can see to whatever extent you're willing to breathe, that you can see that what I just said does explain everything. But you might be saying, well, I can see how it explains those things. That's fine. Just stay curious. So every time in this movie life, not the movie theater, every time in this movie life, every time there was a moment of trauma, somewhere between the lens and now, a black mark got placed, or a series of black marks that have been projecting as disturbances onto the field ever since. Ever since. Ever since. So you and I might do a spell break today that actually brings up an issue that touches this black mark that's 8 years away from the projector, and these two that are both 4 years away from the projector, and this one that happened about 3 days after birth, and this one that happened 2 months before birth. And when we spell break it completely, it dissolves all them black dots that are associated, and it no longer shows up on the infinite D screen. Oh. So, everybody breathing? All right. I'm just checking in. I don't usually do anything like this. I'm going to do this. And it's either because I care about you or because of my monumental ego. You choose. I want to invite everybody that can conveniently do so, just touch their device and type something in about how relevant this is for you, 0 to 100, however you want to do it is fine. How relevant is this for you, and how well or how completely is it landing for you? I want to see what I get on relevant to me, 100% spot on, 100%. Right on, every moment of every day, extremely relevant, explains everything, perfect, spot on, very much resonating, most relevant, is everything, wow and wow, very relevant, 100%, extremely relevant, an eye-opener, yes, relevant, 100%. Okay, that is, I intellectually get it, doing my best to breathe, but I haven't felt much this far. Irrelevant, buddy, just so you know. Don't worry about that at all. It's not relevant to this one. That ain't what I'm aiming for right now. All right, 100% correct. 100% relevant to me, 100% landing completely. There are no existing words that could explain how relevant it is. Relevant, probably about 100%. Beautiful. Okay, thank you, everybody. Thank you for that. All right, I'm glad to know that. All right, so keep breathing and keep your spine straight. And now we can multiply, not add to what we have done in the last hour or so. This model works, and it's about to work infinitely more better. So I see that that this thing that I say, just bear with me for a minute. I'm gonna be me for a minute. It's okay. I'm okay being me. I've gotten past all that shit, or most of it at least. So for me, one of the things I deal with on a daily basis with helping people I dig that. Okay. I have this strange gift, and everyone is infinite and everybody's perfect, and I am no better. I'm different than you who are different from me, only because we're exactly the same. I'm no more advanced. I'm no better. I'm not more than anybody else in any way, shape, or form. It's not possible. We are all the one, okay? And I accept the possibility that I'm the center and you're the center. And I have contemplated for long enough that I am the center and you are the center as much as I am. And so I have a place of respect that's a very different definition, a much more expansive definition of the word than most people have contemplated. To know that I am the one. Bitches, y'all are just actors on my fucking stage. Get over it. While maintaining the awareness that I am merely an actor in yours. I might as well get over it. See, that's the thing. All of our ideas about selfishness and all this stuff are based on this illusion of someone being more important than the other. Yeah, but sometimes this is more important. How could you ever keep up with that? You can't. However, to remember I'm the center and you're in my periphery, while you're the center and I'm in your periphery, everything settles in perfectly. And one of the things that I've been dealing with all along, doing what I do with people, and the fact that you decided to create me seemingly further along than you so that I could help you and reflect this to you. It's not my fault. I have more to say towards your benefit than I'm ever going to say in any program or any course. And so as my audience, as I perceive it from my place in the projector, as my audience evolves with me, I have people brand new stumbling onto my shit why is his hair like that? Why has he got crystals? I kind of like what he's saying. And I have people who are like, every time I have had exposure to this guy, life gets more the way I prefer, right? And so for me to say it where it serves the person that just stumbled onto me going, what the fuck? Why does he look like that? Why does he say fuck so much? To those who are saying, okay, Brian, I'm ready to go further, I'm saying it to everybody at once. And it is physically impossible for me to say everything to everybody. So as my message evolves and as I evolve, how am I going to say what I said, 4 years ago? I just, there's no physical way to cram it all into one session. And on this session, I'm probably going to do the best I've ever done at bringing all those things back after you've seen that orientation session. Now, picture me doing this today. Minds would be blown. They'd be, oh my God, insight, wow, 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 wow. But it's different me doing this after you went through the orientation session with me. And it's completely different for me to do this today after that orientation session and the last 7 sessions. So let all the dots connect and just stay curious the whole time to the possibility that maybe you already know every single thing that I'm saying. You simply buried yourself in such unconsciousness that you blinded yourself from remembering it or remembering that you remember it. Just the more you stay curious and the more you breathe, you can get multiples of benefits of what I'm bringing. So what if the universe, the cosmos being infinite circumference, every point the center, then every center is the projector. Therefore, I am the projector of my experience, this seeming me that I call Brian. Bring the me session back into your remembrance. Those of you that have seen it, those of you that haven't, watch that and then come back and watch this again and be even more blown away. The real me. So what if what I call the universe is the projection, starting with this, of course, because I'm the center. What if this is the center of the projection and the reflection of everything I think and believe that I know, the vast majority of which is hidden from me by me? Black spots on my projector lens, tangled up in emotions that I don't want to feel. What if everything that all those spiritual folks call shadow work means that they're out there trying to deal with the shadows that show up on their screen, not knowing that it's actually the black dots on the lens that's the issue? In a universe that's only light, eternally expanding in all directions without end, there can't be any shadows. There could be the illusion of shadows based on the illusion of black marks caused by trauma on the projector lens. So now we're going to go back here for a moment. Here's this projector. It's aiming on the screen. And here's some crazy spiritual fuck who says, I don't like this stuff. I am going to go to the screen and I am going to clean it off and make these bad things disappear out of my life right now. Wipe, 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 wipe. Nothing's happening. Wipe, wipe, wipe. Well, I don't like this, so I'm going to distract myself for 5 or 10 years. And then later I will begin to think again about what it is that I want and prefer. Wait, when I focus on what I want and prefer, I come face to face once again with what I put between myself and that. There's that fucking black dot again, only now there's more of them. Let me wipe, 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 wipe. It's not doing anything. Let me distract myself. Okay, I'm bored. I'm going to go to the movie again. Oh, fuck, there's more black dots than ever here now. I am going to wipe, 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 wipe. That's called self-help. So imagine, if you will, walking up to a mirror, which you always are. Imagine walking up to a real mirror, though, you know, the glass with the silver behind it. Okay, you walk up to the mirror and you see in the mirror a frown. And you don't like it. You don't like that frown. So you go to the mirror and you go, I'm going to turn that frown upside down. It's not working. It's not working. How many times would you try? Because if you do it more than 2 or 3 times, you are fucking in need of help. When you don't recognize, you keep trying that, you need help. That's craziness. But how many times have you reached out onto the mirror of the universe and tried to change that motherfucker? When what you were seeing was only a reflection of what was emanating from you, with the confusion of the black dots on the infinite projector screen. So the irony is, you could spend the next 472,000 lifetimes trying to change that mirror, or you could smile. Oh, look, it just changed. Well, I don't know, Brian, because there's been times when I wanted something to change and I smiled and I didn't see the immediate reflection out there. It might take 2 or 3 smiles to dissolve some of them black spots. You might smile and say, okay, I'm going to keep smiling no matter what arises now. And here comes this experience and I feel this feeling. Now I'm going to smile on that feeling. How do I smile on that feeling? By feeling it and meeting it with acceptance and love, and thawing out that frozenness that I had turned into black spots and then perpetuated by continually focusing on the damn screen instead of ever returning in presence to the projector lens. And in presence, letting the black spots warm up and dissolve. And suddenly my movie is so much more enjoyable. I like this scene. But wait, there's more. So I have discovered that it is as if, now if you study deeper esoteric Hinduism and some of the other traditions around the world, keep breathing now, keep breathing. The essence of the smile is that powerful because I'm the one choosing the smile. It's my intention. Rather than fighting, I just keep bringing the smile. And it's more than the physical smile, if you know what I mean. Okay, so check this out. different systems talk about the different bodies and the different layers and the different levels. So, you know, there are systems that talk about how you have a body. Here's your root chakra, you know, at the very base of your body. And that root chakra emanates a body. And then there's your second chakra, which emanates a larger body, which is also contained within the root chakra. And then your third chakra. So you study those things, and it's an idea of multiple bodies. There are images out there. Barbara Brennan is brilliant at this stuff. And there are pictures and images that show that we are actually our bodies are about 6 feet wide and roughly 10 feet tall. And there's layers like the Barushka dolls, a doll in a doll in a doll in a doll. Okay, so we have all these multiple bodies. Now, all those things are relevant. They're all as valid as they are. And for me, what I have found, and for some reason, this crazy shit I do has helped a lot of freaking people. The way that I see it, the model that I use is 4 bodies. All right. And so there's my physical body, which is unmistakable. I'm almost utterly, totally, and completely fucking hypnotized to think it's what I am. And I use it almost exclusively. Okay. This physical body. Then filling my physical body and emanating beyond my physical body is my emotional body. That's where I feel my emotions and feelings. It's in my body too, and it goes beyond my body. Then expanding beyond that, it fully permeating my physical body and my emotional body, and expanding out beyond it is my mental body, where I have all the thoughts and thinkings and all that shit that happens. And then beyond that is the universe, which is my body. And of course, that's in here and in my emotional body and in my mental body. It goes on forever. I mean, I can just close my eyes and I can say, I want to feel if where the farthest star is. Am I there? I am. Wow. So the universe is my body. Now, in this projector analogy, the infinite source of the eternal, the one, is at my core, projecting through all my bodies. You are therefore cells in my body, just like every star is a cell in my body, just like all the galaxies are cells in my bodies and systems in my body. Here's where this starts to matter. That was a pun for you who get it. I've been conditioned by my programming to use my head. Use your head, dumbass. Separate business from personal. Things like that. And so what I have done is, in the pain of my physical body and in the pain of my emotional body, keep breathing, I have learned 2 main techniques to avoid the pain. Number 1, I rush out into the physical universe and attempt to physically change all the frowns into smiles. And 2, I retreat out into my mental body and I think about my problems and possible solutions for them endlessly. Got you. You get that? You sure? So laying there on the emergency room table with them slicing and cutting the skin off my dick, a horror beyond imagining. How do I get out of this? We learn through every physical pain. We learn how to get out of our physical body as much as we can to escape the sensations. with the horrors of our emotional, all the times that, you know, you met the love of your life when you were like 9 and you were sure they were the one forever. And then they loved you with all their hearts for 3 days. And then they were off with the other kid. Oh, never live again. Because of all the pain of feeling abandoned by our moms and dads, because we were laying there desperate for a drink for 7 minutes, starving to death, dying. And we felt abandoned and lost and hopeless. All those pains, we reach out, we get out of our bodies, literally, into our universal body, trying to rearrange those frowns into smiles, not knowing that every frown is actually emanating from the projector in me through the black spots of my trauma out onto the lens. Or I escape from my emotional body out into my mental body, and I lay in bed at 4 o'clock. You've heard me do this before. Why did she do that? Why'd she have to do that? Why'd she have to do that? Why'd she have to do that? Whenever she does it, reminds me of other things. And you know, when she did that, I should have, and what I could have, I wish I had. I didn't, but I don't know why I didn't. Why didn't I do that right then? You know, I know why I don't do that, because whenever I did that before, right? In my mental body, trying to solve it, and almost everyone's favorite phrase, I'm going to figure it out. Anything but feel it in. Imagine wanting to change a light bulb on a wall, and the light's out. You can't see. It's important. You have one candle left, and it's burning down, and it's getting darker, and you got to get that light bulb changed. And all you have is a ladder that's 3 feet too short, and you have it 3 feet too far to the left. And so you climb up on it, and you're reaching to change the light bulb. How balanced and how stable are you? How much power do you have access to, completely with no leverage, hanging there in space, knowing you're about to fall, and you're desperately trying to in the dark, right? That is what you feel when you're in your mind trying to figure it out. You have no leverage, you have no base, you have no stability, and you're not rooted in anything. And when you reach all the way out into the physical universe to try to change things, you're standing on a toe. You're standing on a toe, baby, trying to do this crucial action with no stability, no balance. Hopeless, powerless, tormented, lost, confused, hopeless, overwhelmed. It's a lot like endlessly trying to wipe the dots off the screen when they're not on the screen. So to pull back into your mental body, and then into your emotional body, and then into your physical center, which contains all of the above, you're back closer to your source, which you are. You're centered. Think of all those spiritual fuck words that we all like: centered, rooted, grounded, present, connected to source. No, you are source. And from here, something happens in your world. And you don't have to go flying out there where you have no power, like you have been your whole life. And it don't matter how big the thing out there, Antifa, BLM, pharmaceuticals, militias, governments, vaccines. It doesn't actually matter how big the thing is out there. It's still not out there. It's really a matter of how much you're willing to get back in there, to where you perceive it not as something out there, not as something bigger than you, but as the seeming shadow cast on your physical, mental, emotional, and physical body. You might want to reach in a little further to get to that little black spot on my projector lens. So that whole set of seeming shadows that was seemingly bigger and scarier than anything I had ever dealt with before, it's just like all the other ones. If you ever wanted a reason, a commercial, to choose presence, so it's possible then that the biggest, baddest, darkest, most nightmarish things that are showing up out there are just the shapes of the seeming shadows of the black marks of trauma that are closer and closer in on my projector lens. Because the closer it is to the light, the bigger shadow it casts. Earlier childhood traumas. See it for yourself. See that game you used to play with making shadows, and you're trying to figure out how to do the bird and the thing, and you're like, wait, I get closer to the light, the shadow on the wall gets bigger. I mean, it ends up fucking up the whole movie. I can't tell if this is Moana or Inception or devil porn. What the hell am I? What am I watching here? If you ain't breathing adequately, breathing your body into balance, you're keeping yourself out of your body. What if you were not breathing adequately so that you could stay out of your body so you didn't feel those feelings? And now we'll move towards a summary here. So summing up this whole spell-breaking thing and everything else, imagine that you're laying in bed and it's 4 o'clock in the morning and you're doing that thing, or you're sitting there and you just saw a headline: BLM has more guns from China. George Soros just pumped another $250 million into Antifa and Black Lives Matter. Fuck, what they gonna buy with that? And you start to think, and you notice the thoughts start, and you have, when those thoughts start, that means you just retreated out into your mental body, baby, where you ain't got no power. You just gonna feel crazy thinking those thoughts forever in circles. And so you ask one simple question: what am I feeling while I'm thinking this? What am I feeling? Is it anger, sadness, or fear? Is it anger, sadness, or fear? And you'll know it's not confusing, sweetheart. No matter how much you've gotten to be a master of confusing yourself about your emotions, it is not confusing. Okay, I am feeling fear right now. You have a couple options right there. One of them is, where do I feel the strongest sensation in my body right now? It's in my book, by the way, which is free still. Where do I feel the strongest sensation in my body right now? Oh, wow. How was I not aware of that? That the reason the person who just told me I have a harder time dealing with anger than sadness or something is because anger doesn't actually exist. Anger is when sadness and fear are wearing a scary mask so they don't feel so powerless. So all you got to do is say, oh, I feel that anger. What's underneath this anger? It's always going to be sadness or fear. Almost always sadness. Almost always sadness. When you felt sad as a little boy or a little girl, and you're sitting in your room so sad, and nobody was walking in and giving you a hug, you decided to escape into being pissed off. And all the women said, amen. We did it too, guys. All right. So you say, where's the strongest sensation in my body? And you can dive straight into that physical sensation and feel it with all of your attention while you're breathing. And there's something else you can do. Now, you don't need to be confused right now. I don't know which one to pick. That's just an old fucking technique you've been doing. It ain't that many choices. Just breathe and relax. Something you can do is you can put your hands on your heart and you can say, I love you so much. I'm breathing now. Feel your hands on your heart, which helps you to move further into your physical body out of that shit you were doing. See, when you're speaking to your heart, I love you, did you ever notice that you're not out there trying to turn frowns into smiles? You're in here feeling. So hands on your heart helps to bring your attention back to your body, which is what we were doing. Back to presence. And you are aiming presence with love, gentleness, kindness into your body. You're going to really sit there pissed off that they didn't and hold that for the next 50 fucking years? Hands on your heart. You say, I love you so much. I love your heart. I love your little baby heart in me. I love you adult heart in me. I love you heart of the universe in me. I love you. You're safe. You're safe. See, I'm breathing. I'm with you. I'm sorry I escaped out into my mental body and my world so many times. I didn't know I was doing it. I didn't mean to be abandoning you. I'm sorry. But I'm here now. You're safe. I love you. I'm with you. And we're safe. I understand your feelings. I understand all those things you want to say. We don't need to, though. We'll stay in here now. I'm not going to leave you again. And if I slip for a minute, I'll remember quick and I'll be right back. Now, how you feeling? Just feel it and acknowledge it. You think there's a time that won't work? Listen to me. You can have the wolves literally circling. And you can do that. The tax collector can be at the door and you can do that. The flaming arrows can be aimed at your heart, and you can do that. Because when you move back towards the projector lens, you're moving back towards that which cannot be destroyed or harmed. All that shit out there that you're trying to change, it's fucking dust coming and going. You're trying to hold that together, you're never going to feel safe. When you try to change with the weakest part of you, that which is being projected into being by a much deeper part of you, you're battling your biggest self with your littlest, patheticest, illusory self. Doesn't work. Has it worked? Has it worked? Anybody? Has it worked yet? How about all that figuring out you've been doing? I'm going to figure out what to do about these things, these global situations. I will figure it out. Trust me. Just give me another 400,000 years. I'm going to solve it all. Esther, punishment, fraud, fake, phony, inevitable exposure that's coming. Okay, and same thing right then. What am I actually feeling? Oh, fear. Oh. Little one that's feeling that fear, I'm right here with you. I love you so much. I've never been here for you once when you were feeling this, because I kept escaping and retreating, but I didn't know. Forgive me. I know you already forgave me. So here we go. The biggest, toughest man among us, and the little, seemingly frailest girl or boy among us, whatever. We're all little pink newborn babies in the universe every second going, what the fuck is this? Something projecting on the screen. Oh. If we move back to our center, closer and closer to the lens, closer and closer to the lens, closer and closer to the lens. You know, at the lens, it's all just infinite white light projecting in all directions simultaneously without end, with no shadows. Now you're going to hear me say something you've never heard me say before. When you turn to face and focus on what you actually prefer, you come face to face with everything you place between yourself and that. Every one of them is a black dot. And we say, oh, I don't want to look at that bad, scary shadow thing. Nah. Mm-hmm. All right, we might be done. Let me just feel for a minute and look at you. Can you use this? All right, Jennifer just asked, what if you think of walking out or changing the movie instead? I would say that's avoidance. I would say that's avoidance. Now, I don't know that this is true, but I have had a long-standing sneaking suspicion that if you cut the movie short by suicide, you most likely carry, just to take the extreme example, you most likely take every black dot that you didn't resolve in this one into the next theater that you pop into. So it's apparently about making peace with what is, because you're all that is, and peace is what you actually are. Very profound question. Is there a particular age the black dots stop being created? I don't think so. There's debate about that, and there's certainly some kind of something about our childhood development from womb to 7 years, and then there's another phase from 7 to 14, and then there's another phase from roughly from 14 to 21. I don't get too bogged down in it. There are times when it comes up in a session with someone and they'll say something happened recently. Here's the thing. If you retrieve all of your energies completely, i.e. dissolving the black spot completely on something that happened when you were 30, you are, by the very nature of what you are, unmaking black dots that were earlier. When you fully and completely dissolve them. There's a book called Dianetics, and this was a very formative, very beneficial book for me when I was 18, 19, that talks about the formation of trauma and what they call engrams. And they have some really clever analogies. There's engrams, and then engrams are moments of trauma, and then locks are things that happen later in life, which prove to us the conclusions that we reached during the engrams. There's some really interesting things. So, you know, if you have a traumatic experience happen yesterday, I'm going to guarantee you it was tied to some or all of your previous traumatic things. Apparently, the vast majority of those root things are formed in the first 7 years. The story about them is really developed during the second 7 years, and all those final conclusions are solidified into concrete on the screen between 14 and 21. Doesn't really matter. And loving our children. So Suki is a really great example of this. Suki was, out of my 6 kids, Suki was the one who said, "Fuck you, Dad. You will never, ever force me. You will never overpower me. You will never make me do what you think is best, ever." And I mean, she said that at like 6 months. She looked at me and just said, "Fuck you, never." Okay. And so she always had this, I will scream or fight. If you try to pick me up, I'll turn into a bag of cement. If you try to put me over your shoulder and carry me against my will, I'll turn into a board. You know, you are not, I'll never stop. I'll never give up. People say strong-willed child. And because I'm curious, and because I love Suki, my childhood programming that taught me that a dad's responsibility was to guide his kids and form them and direct them and make sure they turn out right. My love for her was more important to me than all those things I had learned to be true. So I actually listened to her. And one day when she was about 3, we had this just gigantic traumatic incident. And she just, I mean, I was in a hurry and I was trying to get her to come along. And she's like, "No, not going to do it." And the truth is that it was because she knew I didn't fully respect her autonomy not to. I was convinced that my need for urgency was more important than her childish reason. And when she just wouldn't come along, she wouldn't come along, she wouldn't come along, she wouldn't come along, she ended up screaming. And she screamed for a while, and I raised my voice at her. And then I got down on the ground, I sat in front of her, And I said, what's going on? And she cried. She was very angry and she cried. Hey, girl. And she told me she didn't want to. And I realized her not wanting to was important as me wanting to. And I realized what she had really been asking me to do was honor her preferences and her reasons as much as I did mine. And if I ever would just show her that I fully and completely, listen, there's times when a dad knows we got to haul ass when the 3-year-old doesn't. But if I try to enforce it without honoring her completely first, especially her, she's not going for it. And so it would have killed one of us eventually, probably. And I just made the commitment. Okay, from this moment forward, I'm going to learn how to honor you completely. And then maybe you'll hear when I say we got to do this, or this is important, or this requires my attention, and it's worked ever since. And so the irony is that by loving my little child out there, I was loving my little child in here, because nobody ever honored my autonomy. When I was little, I was railroaded and run over and stomped on, doormat all the fucking time. Love you, Suki. Any final questions? Is there a way to erase all spots at once? I will say that in a universe of infinite possibilities, I certainly accept the possibilities, and I have a very strong relative certainty that the answer is no, that we didn't design it that way. And still I accept the possibility. I have done a medicine called Bufo, which is, I'm going to speak very non-level 5 for just a second. It is impossible to talk about Bufo. It is impossible to explain, and there is no way to put it into words that someone else is going to understand. Now, I've done ayahuasca. I have done mushrooms, multiple species of mushrooms. I have done San Pedro cactus many, many, many times. I have done basically all of the entheogenic plants, except for yopo. I haven't done, because I do not want to puke for 45 minutes in order to see the truth for 3 hours. I just don't want to fucking do it. Ayahuasca was enough for that. But Bufo is, the molecule is 5-MeO-DMT. And when I contemplate Bufo, I don't see a chemical. I see a miraculous window into oneness that is indescribable. And when one takes this Bufo medicine from this toad, and they take it in, you basically dissolve into white light, and there's very little to no differentiation. Everyone is there. All that is there, and it's all white light, and it's all love. It's unmistakable. And for me, I've heard from many, many, many other people, like extreme terror in the few seconds before dissolving into it. The ego's like, no, I'm not gonna make it back. And in that place, I could see the realm where there are no black spots. I could see it. And I do not believe that we, i.e. you, I am. I don't believe I set it up so that they could all be dissolved at once. Sometimes I'd like to kick myself in the cosmic ass for not having designed it that way. But it's that thing that as an infinite, unlimited being, if you had set this game up where you remembered your infinite power, you wouldn't be able to experience this extreme limitation that we came in for. I have a sense there's more. I knew it. How about this? How about this? How about as present as you become, as how many dots you dissolve, as how fast? You dig? How present am I willing to become? How in my body am I willing to be? Am I willing to realize how much I haven't been in my body? Am I willing to change some of what I've been doing that has been hindering me from being fully in my body? One last thing. I was wondering why I hadn't ended yet. I got it. You see that kooky dog between Dev and Suki? You see that? I've referred to her on more than one occasion. And Dev and I had a deep experience the other night. The kids were at their mom's for a week before they officially move in here. And so Dev and I had a few days and nights alone. And this one night, we were really deep into some medicine. And this idea of just kindness, absolute kindness to everyone and everything came up. And Dev brought up how we have joked about our little retarded dog. And by definition, our dog has been retarded. We all have. It's not an insult. It's not a criticism. If a tree has a wire up against it, and as the tree's growing, the wire cuts into it, it's going to retard the tree to some extent. You get it? Okay. However, we would joke about how our dog is just not there, and we call her our little tard and stuff. And Des said, let's basically, I'm going to summarize her words. It's not 100% accurate, but we agreed on this. Let's do an experiment where we only speak in the kindest terms to this dog, and we don't affirm or acknowledge her retardation at all. Only kindness. And that we're going to be just this. Yes, you did, Crystal. Yes, you did. While we were having the conversation, the dog was changing and blissing out in our presence, because it was the one saying, hey, while you guys are doing this deep medicine journey, maybe you'll hear what I've been trying to fucking tell you. She didn't call us tards either. It was weird. And so I have this sense that just loving the dog constantly is undoing her trauma. Now, who out there is doing crazy shit out there that probably would change their tune if we just loved them and only brought kindness to them? What about one or two or three or four of us at times sitting and thinking about Soros or Gates or Fauci and just loved them unconditionally? Just imagine what they went through that would inspire them and cause them to do what they're doing and say what they're saying, literally planning to kill billions of people. I mean, really? That's not very nice. So what happened to them, for them, was not very nice. And if it happened in my universe, then I'm the one that's responsible. Do some of these dots dissolve without our awareness? Quite possibly in presence, dots are dissolving, period, without bringing a thought to anything. All right, Victoria just said, my job is to offer unconditional positive regard no matter what. It can be challenging sometimes. What if it's only challenging because you believe it's positive and it's your job, Victoria? What you got, Andrea?
I have a question. How do the octopuses relate to the black dots?
The analogy of the octopus is illustrative of the fact that the black dots are overlapping and connected to other black dots. The seeming analogous tentacles of the analogous octopus are the connections between the black dots.
So by releasing an octopus, I'm actually releasing several of the black dots.
And vice versa. Maybe
Right.
more accurately, vice versa. And yes. Beautiful. Beautiful. Damn, what a session. All right.
Hello.
And the last people are over here. Do you guys ever change the window while you're doing it, Suki? No? So look.
Oh, this is the screen we see.
Really? So when there's more than 25 people on, you can do that and see everybody. So that's Crystal talking.
Hi.
She yubs you. So I love you. There's nothing wrong with you. You're perfect. There was never anything wrong with you. There never can be. You know who that's going to? Do you see? Yeah, that's going back to Michael and Chris. Is that how you wanted to do it? Okay. And you're perfect. And there's nothing wrong out there. And the more you get in here, the more powerful you can change and will be changing what's seemingly out there. See you next week, everybody.